Hello! Hello, 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 hello! Welcome to Game Guru Live Broadcast. This is me, Lee Bamber, live on Twitch. And in the spirit of the forthcoming Easter holiday, I want to continue in that theme and go one step further than just tantalising you with little glimpses of the Easter game and Easter assets, but actually make an Easter game right in front of your eyes. It's available right now. We launched it, I think, yesterday or the day before. It's now available. You can get it. We've also updated Game Guru to version 1.121, which actually has a new menu, which I can show you right now. You can see we've had for ages file edit, terrain, blah, 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 demos, more media. We've added a new one, standalone. And inside there's a little link, Easter game. Click that and you can actually play a 5-level Easter game, courtesy of the game creators. Enjoy it, it's good fun. It's a family game. Don't expect Call of Duty 7 or some crazy FPS shooter. This is predominantly a third-person game, just for a bit of Easter fun. So do check that out. It gives you an idea of all the assets that are actually in the Easter DLC that you can actually buy right now. Let me just go back to that screen, because that reminds me. Yeah, pretty good deal, $2.99, and you get lots and lots of lovely assets in the Easter theme if you wanted to make an Easter game. Which is what I'm going to do right now. Hooray! Now, some people already jumped ahead, got the DLC, started playing around with it, and had one or two issues, which I have, thanks for those feedbacks, those quick feedback. I fixed those will be in the next version. I also want to show you some other issues that might be gotchas, things that might, you might want to make an Easter game and then you run into difficulty and you don't know what to do. This Twitch broadcast should illuminate that a little bit. So I'm going to start by choosing a nice floor. Now, usually you start by making a game by dropping lots of assets. I'm going to do this a slightly different way. What I'm going to do is pick my start marker and drop it in here. And then we're going to test game. Because we can actually test our game even though we've only dragged in a start position. And this is what it looks like. What I want to do first is have a different sky and a different terrain. And thanks to the Easter DLC, now remember you only get these terrains and skies and assets if you actually get the Easter DLC, the one I showed you on the website. And I'll refer to it at the end as well. And don't worry about my scurrily high FPS, I've got some ridiculous high-end graphics card pumping away inside here. Let's calm that down a little bit with all these extra mechanisms. So, as I say, I want to choose a different sky because it's going to be an Easter game, it's going to be a cartoony game. So I'm going to go and choose. We added some skies with the DLCs. I think Cartoon Night was one of them. So you see, it's more of a cartoony sky. Now, a lot of skies these days, so bear with me. That was the one that was already there. That was part of the cartoon stuff you get with the core product. But here it is, Toonland. That. If I go back, you can see it's a very cartoony sky. So we'll have that. And for terrain, there's a lot of terrain actually. I think we've got lava. So you've got a sea of lava. And it's not just that one texture, just as you have in edit mode. If I go to terrain, start painting some different things, I can paint that texture and this texture. That's a nice one. And so that's a very nice one actually, that bit. So you can see you've got lots of different terrain textures you can paint. But by default it's this big sea of lava. But I don't think we want sea of lava. We want something a bit grassier. So if we go down to Toon Grass, I think that's another one. That's a bit better, nice cartoon green, lots of lovely green for our grass. And as you see, you've got different textures as well, so you can have this sort of muddy sort of thing, a leafy sort of thing, a sandy stony sort of thing, and then a sort of a dark brown dried mud sort of thing. So you can have lots of different textures. And the reason I wanted to start like this is that when you come back out of test game, it remembers your terrain selection. So then when we're painting floors, we're painting it with the right kind of texture. So let me just save that right away. Let's call it Easterly. Let's call it. Okay, and let's experiment. What does this grass one look like? Well, that will be this. Texture number 2 is a lighter kind of brown. Texture number 3 is that sort of grey, sort of leafy sort of thing. And then texture number 4 cuts through into that sandstone stuff. That looks quite nice. I'll have a bit of that, please. So this would be what I would call bedrock. That's where I'm going to start. Most people might start by creating hills around the outside. I'm starting with painting some sandstony bedrock. Now this is a live broadcast, even though you can't see it. It certainly is a live broadcast with instant live chat. So if you were joining me live, there is a chat window that you can post into to ask any questions you have. Whether you've checked out the Easter DLC already and have some questions, or just some questions generally as you see me edit Game Guru, then absolutely feel free to chip in on the chat session, and I will glance over from time to time and help you answer 1 or 3 or 5 of those questions. Be happy to do so. But in the meanwhile, while there are no question marks in the chat window, I'll carry on creating my Cartoon Creator Splat game for Easter. So again, remember to save early, save often. Some people have reported, they worked on a level for 20 hours and then lost all their work and they can't get it back. Unfortunately, that's inevitable if, for example, you did something wrong or you accidentally deleted or something very strange happened and then you saved that strange thing to your file. You would lose everything before the instance of that save. So a good trick always is to keep saving under different numbers. So a good trick is to start with 001 and then maybe every 20 minutes, 10-20 minutes, just save as and then save it under a different version name. So save as, pick the file name you was last on, increment it by 1. It's simple, I know it's a bit commonsensical, but actually it will save you a huge amount of despair after you to work on something for hours only to accidentally lose it all. So that's a nice little trick. It's save early and it's save often. So now we finally get to go into the assets of the Easter pack. Now, there's lots of assets that I have. I have all the DLCs, so I've got the Buildings pack, the Death Valley, the Fantasy pack, all the Mega packs, the Sci-Fi pack. But this is our newest one, the Easter packs. We didn't develop this in-house. It was something that we suggested to a third-party artist, and they went away and they did an amazing job and came back with the complete thing and the game. And we thought, wow, this is so awesome. So we really had to make a DLC out of it because it looked really great. And we wanted something seasonal, we wanted something for Easter, so this felt like the right thing to do. And just for those people who think, oh, what are you doing working on this DLC? You should be working on this feature and that feature and the other. I have continually been working on the Save and Load Progress feature. When I actually do a little broadcast on that, you'll just see how complex the save load system is. It has to save the game data, which is relatively straightforward, but then it has to reconstruct a game in the exact state that you saved it in just from the data, which involves some very mind-numbing things like regrowing characters and setting them to the exact AI that they was at the moment they were attacking you. It's all very cruel and unusual. But the work is progressing, it's doing very well. We've got to the point now where it's saving all the play stats, the weapon stats, most of the entity stats, and working really on the characters now. And that should be the last big difficult piece. And then we can release that in an update. That shouldn't be too long now. I'm happy to release this as quickly and as soon as the beta testers have given me the nod of approval. So this DLC really came in from the sidelines, and all we really had to do is wrap it up, do it a bit of a quick test, add some screenshots and drop it onto Steam for your delectation. And I've noticed people starting to play around with the Easter DLC from the feedback, and they're running into 1 or 2 issues, and I want to kind of hit those issues right away and help you out where I can. So first of all, you can see you've got a nice array of different assets to make your game with, from obstacles. So for example, let's pick this fence. This fence is a nice one. Zoom in a little bit. And there was another question recently on the Steam reviews post, actually, complaining that there wasn't really an easy way to click entities together. Now, I would absolutely agree. If you just went into Game Guru and dropped in a fence, and there you go, then you have to go back here and drop in another fence, and then you drop in another fence. You could be there for quite a while, you can imagine. Now you notice what it was doing there. I don't know if you saw that, but it was actually doing some clever snap trick. If I switch it back to normal, what you'd normally get is you'd have to line it up exactly right every single time. Which is fine, but it's a bit monotonous, don't you think? So wouldn't it be nice if you could have a fence, press the B key to switch it to snap mode, hold down shift to make sure that the item doesn't remove from your cursor, and just go click, click, click. I won't say click anymore, but you can angle it any way you want. Bit more. And you see how easily it is now to make a fence? So there are features for snapping, as we calls it. You just have to find out the right keys, and then you'll be alright. Snap that one there. Snap. And snap that one there. And if you want to know how to get all the shortcut keys, you just press F1. It's the quick help key page. And if you actually look through, you actually see B, grid mode, 3 modes. So there's 3 modes available. You've got the one that you saw now, which was snap. And then you've got another one. If I press B again, it goes to grid, which is 100 by 100. So if I hold down shift, fortunately this fence is exactly 100 units wide. So it's even easier if you just wanted to do that. But the grid only works, see, in a grid X and Z. It only so if you rotated, you'd end up with this crazy thing. You don't necessarily want that, which is what snap mode's for. But if you add something on the floor, let me just switch over quickly to fixtures. See, this is 100 by 100 horizontal tile. See how easily I can paste them together? So that's the grid mode. And then when you press B again, it goes back to normal mode, where you're on pixels and you're going to line up, and that could be quite frustrating if you didn't know about the snap and the grid modes. So just wanted to intervene because it was a feedback, and it's probably indicative of me not saying it enough or not broadcasting that information enough. In fact, what have I got these fences here? This is enough, right? So I got a nice bit of a fence, and let's go back to our Easter pack, and let's deal with the other feedbacks specifically related to the Easter DLC. The first thing is there was in the version that you may have right out the bat, I think you tried to drop in one of these troll guys. So if I drop in Troll 4 Slow, pop him in there, and when you press test game, you would have got a lure error because it was trying to find a radar that wasn't part of your scene. And I've since replied to those posts and given you a link to a fix, so you can actually put the files in and it fixes it. This is what it looks like after the fix. But if you don't have that, or you don't want to go to that link and you don't want to get the fix, there's another way of doing it as well, which is, it's a bit crazy, but bear with me. Pick a stone from the asset store, press the Y key to turn it into dynamic, put it somewhere in your scene, somewhere innocent, usually out of the way so the player can't encounter it. Go to properties. Now you need to set several things. The first thing you want to set the script to one of the Easter scripts that we provide. Go to egg radar and select egg radar.lure. Because what it's going to do, it's going to add a radar onto your game. And a lot of the scripts when we released the DLC relied on that radar always being used. So when the radar isn't being used, the scripts are a problem because it can't find the functions. The fix that's going to be in the next update solves that, so you don't need the radar, but in the initial release you do. But also, because we set this to dynamic, we really want to keep the rock, as a stone. So what you want to do is do a few different things. Set physics off, set always active on, and importantly, set is immobile to yes. And those three changes will make sure that rock stays exactly where it is. And like I said, just move it out of the way. Because always active is now on, it won't deactivate its script once it gets far enough away from the player. Always active means it will always run no matter what. So if I pop it into the corner there, that rock is now very far away from the game action. But it's still active, it's still running. And what I mean by it's still running, save, if I actually run the game now, you'll notice that that script has brought forth a radar. Oh, see, as I turn around, the radar's working. That little red dot on the radar is that cute little guy there. But not so cute if you let him get too close to you, because it sucks your health. Very friendly, no claws out or anything like that. But, you know, you wouldn't really want to stand next to this guy again, because, you know, you didn't do very well. So there's our cute little guy. So that was the first issue that I really wanted to address, and the various options that are available to you. Just pop him to the side of the fence. So the next issue is eggs. I'm going to drop in an egg. No, so I'll drop in one egg, and then I'll press run. Now the expectation, if you've played the game, is that you can collect this egg. But when you run up to it, it's not being collected. You know, it's like, why is it not being collected? That's the reason is it's just an element. It's just a nice rotating egg just for scenery. To give it some behaviour. Look at this guy. Hey, what do you think you're doing? I don't have any weapons. You know, this is just going to be hilarious. Alright, well, I'm leaving the game, so ha. What you have to do is give the egg some intelligence. But before I do that, I want to demonstrate this rock. If that rock didn't exist, that means that script that runs the radar also doesn't exist, essentially. So now if I run it and I did my egg, we don't get the radar, but I'm using my fixed enemies, so it'll work. So there's no radar, and I can't collect the egg. If I instantly assign this the logic so I can collect it, there's basically a couple of things you need to do. They're all in the Easter folder, so script bank Easter, they're all in here. And there are 5 different kinds of eggs, so what we've done is created 5 different sets of scripts, one for each of the egg types. So we added in egg 1, so do egg 1 collect.lure. So now that uses the actual script for collecting the egg. But here's the trick, it's going to fail because this script needs more than one script for it to run. You see, there's something, when you see an error, that doesn't mean, oh, Game Guru's crashed. It just means, and you'll see this a lot when you're writing your own scripts, your scripts, they run in an interpreted way, they run on the fly, so there's no pre-preparing whether the script is correct. You only find out when you run it. So we try to run this script we just introduced, and there's an issue. It can't find egg radar add objective. Now this I will be able to remove in the next fix. In fact, I've already fixed this. But what you can do with what you've got right now, just like we did before to solve the issue with the original enemies, drop in your stone, turn it to dynamic, go into properties, set yourself up with an egg radar, like so. Make sure that physics is off, make sure it's always active, so no matter where it is, it's always going to be running, and make sure it's immobile so it doesn't go through the floor or fly off into the distance or whatever else it could do. And then what you can do is just pop it away into the distance over there. And now when we run it, it still won't work because this egg actually needs at least 2 scripts. And you'll find the other one happens as soon as I try and collect it. Watch what happens. Bink. So again, it's the same script that we're trying to use, but now there's another thing that it needs and it hasn't got. And the reason is, when you collect an egg of a certain type, we've created some scripts that can keep track of that logic, i.e. how many eggs have you collected. And for that, I want to show you a different way of running a script, seemingly in the background. Get a trigger zone and drop it near the player. So anywhere within, say, 3,000 units of, I think 1,000 units of the start marker will be active. And if you wanted them to be active for greater distances, you'd have to use always active and use a regular dynamic entity. But the zones, which are much simpler creatures, close by the start marker are perfectly fine and less obtrusive because they completely are invisible as soon as the game runs. What you need is to go to display 1. Remember we had 5 egg types, 1 through 5? Well, display 1 through 5 equate to those 5 egg types. So we can display 1, and then there's a script called eggs count start 0, 1. That makes sure that we create a global for count our eggs, and then we reset it to 0. So we apply that. Remember to save a lot. So now we've got everything we need. We've got a script running which resets an egg counter, and we've assigned the script to the egg to say this is egg 1 and I can collect it. And over there in the distance we've got an egg radar which shows us where the enemy is, and you'll also notice there's now a white dot. It's also showing you where the eggs you can collect are as well. So the radar's pretty built for that. So now when you collect, it collects it, and there's no more loot errors, and there you go. Now it may look like this guy's not giving up, is he? Now it may look like, wait a minute, why can't I do this automatically? Well, it's because the scripts are required to be added to the scene. There's just no, I wouldn't say easy way. There's always an easy way to just auto-magically do all this stuff, but really it is about adding in the bits to the level that you want. And we're not adding in and assuming you want everything, so we'll just add everything. You have to add those key bits. And this was actually designed, this Easter DLC, it was designed as a game with real gameplay and logic and lots of scripts to support it. I've just shown you a few, but if you carry on exploring the scripts to put prompts on the screen to detect when you've collected 20 eggs or whatever, it prompts up when you've won the game, and it moves you to the next level, and it shows you some status HUD updates, it shows you how many eggs you've collected so far. All those scripts are available to you, and you can explore them at your leisure. They're all inside the Script Bank Easter folder, so I definitely advise you should check that out if you want to make an Easter game similar to the one that we've created, but you don't have to sort of struggle through what does what and where do I place it, because we've also included in the map bank Easter folder the actual game. So that's the level 1, and then it's level 2, 3, 4 and 5. So if I load in Easter game, so here's an example. Let's say I just did a lot of crazy cool work with easterlee002.fpm, and then for whatever reason, and I forgot myself, loaded another level to check something out, but I forgot to save. Even after it prompted me, I forgot to save. You'd have lost all that work if it weren't for the fact that it was constantly saving and being rather paranoid about it. So as you can see, you've got these dynamic rocks that hold scripts. You've got trigger zones that are outside. These little black rectangles here are invisible walls, so the player can't leave the wall at any time. That way you can guide them, so you can't go backwards, can't go left, can't go right, you have to go into the game world. And if you've ever played the Easter game, you'll actually remember those last 2 eggs that are really difficult. Well, they're put behind this barrier of invisible walls, so you have to kind of find your way through this little secret entrance and then come round and collect the eggs that we've popped down, like so. And in fact the entire level is surrounded by invisible walls, so you can't go wandering off into the blue yonder. This has been requested for some time, these invisible walls, and when I actually didn't add these invisible walls, they just came from the third-party artist, and they were really great additions. And it was suggested that, hey, wait a minute, so we have to buy the DLC to get invisible walls? That sucks. That's fair enough. So I've added the invisible wall asset to the core product for the next update, because it is a pretty useful thing to have. So as I was saying, we've already given you the levels as well, and they're already pre-designed with all the scripts. So I just have to run this. In fact, I will run this, and it will have all the scripts running that you would have got in the standalone game. So if I recall, I think there's a splash screen. So that's a script. find and collect all the eggs. It just pulls from a graphic, which you press the E key. Then there's another script that then triggers the music. You've got a script, if you look at the top right, you've got an egg, and then you've got a counter, 0/20. All that script that's been added to the game. So there's 5 levels. If you can't complete all the games in the standalone, which is in standalone Easter game, you can cheat and just skip straight to the bits that you want. So if I go to, say, for example, level 4, which I rather like actually, it was a huge change in graphic theme. You went from green, lovely Toonland into this volcanic rock, fire and brimstone with evil-looking plants that spray green stuff at you. So yeah, that's a really nice level. You should definitely check that out. In fact, I can show you the first start of it. And this one actually has a teleporter, so you actually complete one bit of the level, then it teleports you to the second part, and it shows you how to do that too. So you see, it's a different script because it has more things, more objectives you have to do in this particular level, and a different music, and more eggs to collect, and it looks rather sinister. Oh, I love that tree. So yeah, and you can, that lava really does hurt. So you can pick apart those levels. But like I said, I really wanted to show you a couple of what I would do if I was creating an Easter game and where I would start with the Easter DLC. So we've had, I mean, you compare those levels, then look what I've created, which is pretty poor. But I just wanted to get those fundamentals out of the way because there were questions and I needed to answer them, so hopefully I've answered them. But there are any more, there's a chat window, and if you are actually live, then you can ask me anything you like within the context of that. Rather than build up lots of different pieces of a castle, we thought, oh, well, whoever designed this thought, well, what if I just gave you the entire castle in one go? Bam. Which I think certainly saves a lot of time, doesn't it? So I'm just going to flatten this out, so it's a nice flat floor. And one thing I thought was pretty cool is the assets provide you with a windmill, which I think is one of the best models for our cartoon, lovely windmill. But then they provide the windmill in pieces, so you can have it just on its own, and then you can add with or without fan blade. But I thought it'd be really cool if you could add it to the castle itself. So you know that trick where you can synchronize going through a door. So if I just pop start marker here, run that. I dare say our little red monster will try and find us, but we won't worry about his laughter right now. He's through there somewhere. He can't see me. That's good. So yeah, you can actually use this this animating windmill structure too. And I bet you're thinking, oh, wouldn't it be great if you had a trap where you only run through the gaps and then you could get hit by that? Well, because of the way this object is collision set up, you won't be able to just be prevented from walking through that because the collision's been switched off. But what you certainly can do is, with a script, monitor the frame values of this animation. Know when those frame values are situations where you want to be damaged or blocked, and then you can actually add that and influence the player. So knock the player back, so when it comes in, bang, and it knocks the player back. That would be pretty cool if you wanted to play around with it. But yeah, as I was making a level with it earlier in the week, I thought that was pretty cool to be able to do that. So I'm going to leave that in because I like that. And most of the other assets are pretty straightforward. You've got your angry eggs, which are enemies. You've got your poison flowers, which are enemies. And you've got your trolls, 1 through 10, which are enemies. You've got Todd Rabbit, which actually is a player object. You couldn't drop 10 Todd Rabbits in and expect them to run after you as enemies. The Todd Rabbit is exclusively a third-person character. So just like we did with the wizard, I don't know whether you remember, we actually have a fantasy wizard that comes with the stock, and you can drop it over the start character and it clicks, and then I'm now running around as the wizard. In fact, I can show you that. And then a bit incongruous of a fancy character running around a cartoon world, but there you go. Third person wizard. Just jump up these visuals a little bit. Game Guru defaults to medium, just so everyone gets decent performance. I like a little bit more because I've got a slightly nicer graphics card than I'm normally using, so why not enjoy the extra GPU power? So there we go. Nice shadow. But that's not what I wanted to demonstrate, simply to demonstrate that was our first third person character. This is now officially our second one, because it comes from the Easter DLC, not the Fantasy DLC. But this is really just stepping stones. Eventually you'll be able to add any character, even characters you've created yourself, onto the start marker, and everyone can be third person. It's just that there's some special animations that are required for the current implementation of third person, and as some characters won't have those animations, I need to create an alternative sort of a variant system which doesn't need those animations but would still let you do third person for animations we do have, like everyone's got walking and to some degree jumping and dying and things like that. So this is the preferred perspective for your Easter game. So have your start marker, drop Todd the rabbit onto the start marker, and he runs around in third person, thoroughly enjoying himself. And now we can run around and collect that egg that we had before. And he jumps, so we can jump over fences, collect eggs, has a really good time. Like I said, if you want those stats in the corner, you can use the ones we've provided, or you could write your own. So there's the player, there's our enemy, the egg would be the objective, the fences are the scenery. Let's see if there's anything else in the asset store that has its own particular brand, category. Bridges, very good. Butterflies, they're really just scenery items, but they animate, so they'll flutter around if I put a few of them in. Dink, 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 dink. They look rather nice when you actually have them in some grass. Let's speak of the devil. Let's add a little bit of grass, because usually the grass is that realistic grass, but we might want cartoony grass. We'll just drop some down, and I actually do think there is some. Let me just save under a new one. So it's good practice, that. And what happens is you save and then you see loading. Well, why is it loading? I was saving. If you added an entity into the level and then deleted it, that entity is still in your list on the left. But because there's no instance of the entity in the level, the engine, the IDE knows that, and it will clean up this list so you don't have any redundant entities that aren't being used. That's why it's loading it back in. So now if we run, you see the grass isn't really what I'd want to use for cartooning. So if we go to the vegetation type, Toon Meadow, much better. And you don't have to be happy with that amount of grass. We can really load it up. We can make it wider. We can make it higher. And we can make much more of it into the distance. And it's already set to the highest shader. So again, you know, you don't really want to be doing this on a laptop, but certainly if you've got a decent desktop GPU, you know, it's now completely hidden within the grass, which is fine. Maybe that's part of the game, but you can see the butterflies floating around inside the grass, which makes for a really nice effect. And there's some other niceties in the foliage department as well. The meadow flowers are pretty cool. You can use the I key and go on to spray mode. Just spray lots of them down so you don't have to place them one by one. Press the minus key, you can create concentrations of them, as you might find in nature. You can have different ones. Again, I, just to create a spray effect, and then maybe that one, like so. So you can create some really nice scenes long before you start thinking about what your game should be about and what the objectives are. More different kinds of foliage you've got. I think I saw a hedge. There it is, a hedge. Nice little hedge. And some different trees. You've got a forest tree, you've got that blobby tree, and you've got this kind of tree. So you can come up with different styles within the context of the cartoony world. But it's sort of rinse and repeat. It's the same sort of things. You've got your enemies, you've got your player, you've got your collectibles, and then you've got your scenery. A piece of functional scenery would be Castle Gate. Pretty much does what it says on the tin. You just Now you notice we're trying to place the gate and it's now going up. That's because by default it tries to find the tops of things. You see, like you're trying to put a box on a table, it will find the top of the table for you. In the case of the door, we don't want the door to find the top of a table, so just press return and that will change its mode so it doesn't try and find the tops of anything, and then you can place it as best you can, and then you can zoom in and make sure that you've got a really good fit, like so. And now, as it's a functional piece, my guess, and I'm pretty accurate I think in my guesswork, that this door will let you open and close it. So if you go to here and press E, yeah, it opens the door like so. And you might think, well, I don't want it opening outwards at me, what on earth should I do? Well, just go and click it, press the R key 4 times, which has rotated it on its y-axis by 180 degrees. And then pring, we can press E and it opens that way. We walk through into our lovely castle. Yeah, and there's all the flowers that we added. Of course, if you just add them on the floor on their own, they look rather isolated, so combining them with sort of the right height and size of grass does wonders, as you'll see in level 1 of the Easter game. So I think that's gone through the basic chunks of assets. There's also, I mean, there's mushrooms. I forgot about mushrooms. I love mushrooms. Figuratively and painting an entire world full of them, because, I don't know, people don't often see giant mushrooms in the real world. And I think that's a pity. You've also got 2 different kinds of platforms. You've got volcanic platforms and then these grassy platforms. And the way you would use those is, let's say you wanted to challenge the player to say, you know, start climbing up this ramp, and then you want something like dangerous here, so maybe you created a big radius and then a ditch full of water, and you had to get over this to get to the other side. That would be like a typical game objective, something that you would want in your, I trust, non-violent Easter game. And so these platforms exist to let you do that. So let's say we had a little circular platform. Now, if you've been using Game Guru a while and thinking, well, I have placement issues, I want to be able to place it as along there, but look, it's following the terrain, isn't it? So I can't. Well, what you basically do, you just you can place it down in the scene, click it so you're on this widget mode, and then it obeys what the widget does. So then you can use the right mouse button to use free flight mode, and it will be positioning it just like you would in a modeler or in another game creation option. And you would have the same level of control. And one thing people have requested for, and I absolutely agree, is not just an extract but a duplicate as well. So we can leave that one where it is and then have another copy of it. Right now, if I extract, it lets me click and then move and click, but there's always the danger, isn't there, that when you extract you accidentally move it. People really don't want that, to have to deal with that. So best way to position these is for height. So we come up alongside, drop the height to there, click this one, drop the height a little bit more. There's also a bit of a skew, so we move that one to there and then this one to there. You've created a nice little jumpy platformy thing. So let's just grab our rabbit wherever he's currently hiding, and then we move him to our new challenge. Ooh. You see what happened then is something I haven't quite figured out how to do it intuitively. You see, you're holding down the left mouse button to drag the rabbit, essentially. But the problem is, you then want to use the right mouse button to mouse loop to get a better view on free flight mode. What does that mean? You hold the left and right mouse button down at the same time? I find it like I'm running out of fingers. At least that's what it feels like. So we'll drop down our rabbit again. Oh, and the thing about start markers, you can never have 2 start markers in a game. If you've lost, for whatever reason you've lost your start marker, just grab another one and drop it down. It'll erase the other one wherever it happens to be hiding. So now we dropped our rabbit in front of the bridge. And of course the only way to test things like these kind of obstacle challenges, is to suck it and see, basically. Just run it, test it, play it. That gap was too big, go back, make the gap smaller, try it again. Is it too difficult? Is it too hard? You often find one of the biggest mistakes isn't, you know, the content that you put into your levels. It's making the level either too difficult, too easy, or too confusing. Confusing as in you don't know which direction to go in. And so good levels are about suggesting very subtly which direction you need to go in. So I'm pretty happy with the pacing of that. You know, that was probably just getting started, like a very easy way into the game before you made the jumping obstacle a little bit more difficult, and that runs back down, and then you can carry on and have more fun. So I was hoping to spend just half an hour showing you this. I didn't really want to bore you to tears. I'm quite happy I spent 40 minutes on it because you got to see a little bit of everything, and I didn't hide any functionality from you. And as you can see, they're looking pretty interesting, even though I've just been slapping them down at random. Oh, and also, you've got fireballs. That's the weapon of Todd the Rabbit. He can summon up magical powers because he is a fantasy creature after all. Not fantasy in the sense that it's a fantasy creature, but you know, he's fictional. I don't think I've ever met a guy quite like Todd in many years. So he fires fireballs. You'll notice in the standalone game we took some liberties and we changed some of the graphics around. So he fires flowers, and when you hurt him, he brings forth petals. So it's more kid friendly. But back in the real world of Game Guru, it's using the fireball projectile. And as soon as that gets to the top of the voting list, we'll have customizable projectiles. So you can have everything from customizable grenades, fireballs, rockets that's fired from rocket launchers, and everything in between, arrows, things like that. But that really needs to be voted on. That means everyone has to vote everything else down the list to make that number one. And right now, the top of the list is the save load feature, which is nearly finished. The building editor, which will be really exciting because it'll make this snap thing look like some primitive stone tool by comparison. And the menu editor. And the AI as well, which is super critical, being able to have enemies that could follow me up this ramp, jump across these and down the other side, and then go into multi-story buildings as well. So enemies will be able to do that by the third thing on the feature code list, which is awesome. And the thing that was mentioned only today, the fact that rather, if I did a standalone executable now, it would have all the standard bitmaps, and you'd have to go in and hack in the scripts and hack in the bitmaps to change those yourself. The menu editor would be a feature which just allows you to drag and drop images from your desktop and then move them around, assign them as buttons to do certain functions, and you'll be able to customize every menu. That's the title screen, the loading screen, the game menu, and the game win, game lose screens, stuff like that. But there you go, nice little visual walkthrough and how to use the Easter DLC. I'm now going to have a quick look at the questions, because I did invite for questions, and we have a nice healthy 20 minutes. Yay. Oh, I killed the enemy, didn't I? Yes. Maybe I should put some eggs, some evil eggs in the castle. So, do we have an egg? Yes, we'll choose the red egg. And we'll have him guarding the door. Ding, 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 ding. There you go. You should not go in the castle. So let me see if there's any questions. Any questions about this? Any questions about Game Guru in general? All very welcome. I'll just scroll to the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hellos. Well, that's awesome. Thank you. Milo 9000 says, would be nice to click, drag, and outline on release. It fills in with the objects. If you mean range select, we already have this. So let's say I wanted to move half of these mushrooms outside. I can click and hold, it selects them all, and then I can just move them out. So that was a big request from the community and we added it. Quite happy to do that. Even though it's not on the voting board, these features aren't like huge features, but so helpful when it comes to editing. So sorry Milo if I got your request wrong, but that's what I think you mean by range selecting and dragging things around. So certainly repost your question if I got that answer completely backwards and wrong. G42 Human TW says expectation. Oh yeah, new rule for this live broadcast: no egg jokes at all in the Twitch. I know we all know all the egg jokes, but that's why I'm saying let's have no egg jokes, because they're all droll and everybody knows them all. VRG 2015 says, I have created a building with segmented walls, floors and ceiling. The problem is the outline of ceiling segments. Is this a problem for the game, or are you creating like performance ETT? Is this a problem for the game you are creating like performance? The problem is outlining of the ceiling segments. Not sure what you mean by outlining of ceiling segments. Probably best that you communicate by email and then give me some of the assets that you've created, and then I'll probably help you either with a suggestion how you can edit them better, or even tweak them, or what a Game Guru can and can't do with them. That's probably the best idea. Scrolling through, Human TW says yes, you can use grid mode to align stuff. Absolutely. VRG says problem is grid mode is not correct outlining these ceiling segments, so I have done it manually. Yeah, if you make these ceiling segments 100 by 100, then yeah, you can use the grid mode. But if there is a bug, like in terms of the vertical positioning, which I have noticed but I can't reproduce, then please do send me a step-by-step that reproduces it and I will totally fix it. That's no problem. Okay, going through to... Pirate Mac has to go. That's fine. Absolutely. This will be on YouTube later. I'll be posting all Twitch broadcasts to YouTube, so you can always catch up. Sparrowhawk says, sadly my internet is too slow today to watch live, getting constant buffering, catch up later. You know, that's if two people's left because it's stuttering, then maybe it's my actual broadcast itself. Anyway, we'll find out once I send it all to YouTube and we get it all on video. VRG, is it possible with multi-levels to program the win zone to go to different levels? Yes, it is. It is, and I'll show you how to do that very quickly. Let's say the objective of the game was to get into the castle. So through the door here we can have what's called a win zone. You'll find that here, the orange one, and then just drop that in. Make sure that the zone entirely covers the area of floor. As soon as the player walks into this zone, let's just move a little bit out of the way, you win the game. But if you go into properties and see the if used, if you actually say something like Lee level 4, if you've got a level called Lee level 4.fpm, or you could even actually put .fpm, I've actually added support for that, it would load that level in next. Now if you've got 3 or 4 win zones all specifying different if used levels, it will jump to that level as well. So you can create a non-linear level progression in Game Guru. So you can basically chain lots of levels together. You could even have a big building, and then when you walk through the door it gives you another level that's just the interior of that building, and then when you try and exit that building it goes back to the outside at the same point where you left. You see, so there's some clever things you can do there. Obviously it gets a little bit techie, but you've got to use globals to record the state of where you are within the level, so that when you come back in you can change the start position of the player to where you left originally. The little tweaks like that, and you can use the position of the entity to tell you where to return in the level, but that's really get the nitty gritty for the polish. But generally yes, you can absolutely do that. Looks like VRG is also getting some stuttery problems. Maybe the whole of the internet is slowing down this week, perhaps. It says Twitch servers are messed up as of late, so maybe there is a problem at their end. Phew, at least it's not me. Okay, VRG says nice game. No, it's a terrible game, but it tells you a lot of the things that you can do with the Easter DLC. And G42 Human TW confirms that 30 seconds and you have a beautiful landscape. Yes, that's one of my favouriteest things about Game Guru. The fact that, yes, you know, a lot of the... in some ways you could say it's too easy, because everyone can just drop things in very quickly and get something up and running, but might be similar to somebody else's. But it's the sheer combination and choices that you make. I mean, I've just knocked something out in a couple of minutes that would be entirely unique. No one's game's going to look anything like this. It'll have the same graphics, but certainly not the layout and the logic and the obstacles that I'm going to put in the game so you can actually play it. And then with thousands and thousands and thousands, I think the asset store is in danger of getting to 10,000 game assets. These aren't models on some remote, cold, distant server. These are game objects. They're actually been reduced in polygon count, so they're fast in performance. They're game textures. They've even got, some of them have got scripts associated and sound effects. These are game assets. And we got nearly 10,000 of them. And if you add up all the DLCs, we've probably got 13,000 in total. And that number grows every single day, not including all the free stuff that you can get through the forums. So assets are really the lifeblood, in combination with how easy it is to knock up a level very quickly to create quite unique games. And that's what I really like about it, that you can knock something up very quickly with a large selection of assets that are available at your fingertips. So yes, Game Guru is rather powerful. But there's a lot more to go. By no means am I thinking I'm complete. You only have to look at the voting board to see all the cool things that we could still add, and we are going to. So, Retro Game Blog has pitched in as the last 2 posts on this chat feed. Have you sorted the script issue with the NPCs? Yes, I have. No worries at all. The issue was, if you're interested, there's a slowenemy.lua in the Easter folder. If I go to the Easter folder in the Steam, Script Bank Easter Slow Enemy, in the original it didn't have this line of code, because it assumes, the script assumes, you're always going to use the radar. If you're dropping an enemy and don't use the radar, that would be a nil. It wouldn't know what that function is. It wasn't included in the globals for the Lua system. So a little command here says, well, if it doesn't exist, skip it. And that way it can carry on and you can drop the enemy in and you don't need the radar. There is going to be another update, because as I was thinking about this Twitch broadcast actually, I also remembered that if you look at Eggs 1 Collect, they actually rely on the Egg Radar as well. They also rely on an Egg 1 Count global that also may not exist if you include another script. But I'm in 2 minds about that. One, it's good to have these Lua errors pop up when stuff is missing, because then it means you know it's missing and you can do something about it. But conversely, I could make it so I could detect that they exist or not and hide the fact and skip them, but then the functionality of the script wouldn't work, so you'd run over the egg and it wouldn't collect and you wouldn't know why. But now in this particular case, if I assumed the egg count didn't exist, it would still collect it, it would still make a sound, it would still destroy the egg. So you collect it for all intents and purposes, but the egg count 1 wouldn't do anything because it doesn't exist, essentially. So I think I've got some safe fixes that I can do for the next update, which includes wrapping that with detection to make sure that the other scripts. In fact, generally it's probably a good idea that all scripts are independent, can run on their own. If they do depend on any external script, detect for the existence of that global before attempting to use it. I think that's a pretty shrewd move. But there are some scripts elsewhere back in regular script bank folder. There are so many dependencies on external, even like a global command or a G entity. Do I detect for the existence of that every single time? No, it would slow things down. So you see there's that problem between adding too much error trapping into your scripts but then reducing your performance, or removing all the error trapping and get your performance back, but then you're going to be likely to see more Lua errors if you've not chained and included all your scripts together properly. Therein lies the dilemma of the game developer. Retro Game Blog adds, the script looks for a variable for the radar script so it doesn't work on their own. I fixed easy enough, but not everyone is willing to dive into Lua. Absolutely. I even got someone leaving a negative review on Steam because they absolutely refused to use Lua. And I didn't feel that the anti-Lua movement was so strong these days. So I do have a plan. It's called Lua GUI, which basically allows you to modify script behavior without actually doing any code. You just change some sliders and things like that. But the Lua GUI is only going to be part of something in tasks 4 or 5 of the voting board, so you won't see that like immediately. You'll see it down the road for sure, and it will solve this problem of people being scared by diving into Lua script. VRG says about WinZone, can you use one WinZone for different levels? One WinZone for different levels. Well, I can interpret that question in two different ways. Each level, as in level 1 to FPM, level 2 to FPM, level 3 to FPM, you can't have one WinZone across those three levels because of 3 different level layouts. You'd have to at least drop one WinZone into each of the levels. So it'd be one WinZone in each level for all 3 levels. There'd be 3 WinZones, one WinZone in each level. The other way I can interpret that question is you'd want one WinZone that could then send you to multiple different levels. Yes, you can do that, because if you actually look at the WinZone code itself, it's pretty much externalized. See, jump to level if used. So jump to level is a command, and the if used is this extension to that command which says, I don't want the name of the level provided in the script. I want the if used field of this entity to provide that name. But if you take jump to level and then look in the globals, where's my global script? Just search for that. Notice what's underneath it. There's another command, jump to level, level name, and level name is a string. So you can actually, instead of putting it in the entity properties, you can actually put it as a string and call it directly. So instead, if this is a modified version of, let's say, WinZone my version, let's call it, instead of jump to level if used, it'd be jump to level, open brackets, then the name of the level you want to jump to, close brackets. And then you can have lots of Lua globals to control which level you want to send them to. So the same door could take you to different places, no problem at all. So hopefully that answered it. And looking at the clock, oh my god, that's almost instinctual. 58 minutes of broadcast, and I am actually at the end of my little show of Easter DLC, and I'm at the end of all the questions. So that is very remarkable. If you are interested in the DLC, you can go to the main Game Guru page, scroll down a little bit. It's currently on 25% off, but only for this first week. We launched it, I think, yesterday. Another 6 days at 25% off, and then it jumps up to $3.99. And then at the end of the second week, it disappears. Then you can't get the Easter pack anymore until next Easter, essentially. It's a seasonal thing, and we're going to do it with some other seasons if third-party artists provide us with a complete DLC and game. Then we'll certainly do this again on other seasons like Halloween and Christmas and other cool occasions. So you can just click it from here and you can get it from there. Or you can learn more about it by going straight to the Steam page where we've got videos and screenshots and things like that. But hopefully this Twitch and the last one gave you enough information about what this little DLC is about. But yeah, as of yesterday, I started cracking on the save load feature. As I said, we're on to character stuff now, nearly finished. Then we can start testing it, then add some more bits and bobs, more tweaks, and then we can get that out to you guys as quickly as humanly possible. So until next week, next Wednesday, 4 PM GMT. This has been Game Guru. My name is Lee Bamber. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you all next week. So goodbye. And the music.